JD, thanks for being with me today. I'm excited for our network to learn more about Aptus, hear your story, what you're excited about, why we went down this road of partnership, and really what we're looking forward to in the future. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I appreciate you making me uncomfortable today, Allie. But I'm looking forward to this.
Always. Okay, so we closed the deal early January, and we're now 6 weeks in, and we've learned kind of more about the Apta story, what you guys are doing with advisors, how you've been innovative in the space. Talk to me a little bit about what you're excited about when you think about our partnership and the future of what we all can do together.
Yeah, I think the a real simple way to describe like why we exist, it's really to help the financial advisor be as valuable as possible. And there's a services side to that. There's an investment side to that. And I think like our partnership really frees us up or really gives us kind of the added depth and added ability to say, hey, look, not only can we help with process, with rationale, with documentation, with all of these things, with differentiation around all of that, but now we can actually, it's like full suite of services from idea to execution. And I think that's really powerful. And we do see that as a missing ingredient in the space. And I think our combined entity I think we're attractively positioned to really help an advisor be as valuable as possible.
Yeah, I can obviously agree. And I kind of think back to the COVID times, and one of the ideas or one of the areas I focused on were secrets to scale, and just thinking about what are the resources around advisors to help them with scale. And when I think about our two companies coming together and what the future can be, it's advisors that outsource effectively, allow them to expand their services. So think about if you can talk about it from your perspective. You've obviously been on the investment world. You see advisors outsource investments all the time. Talk a little bit about why Aptus's story is differentiated from some other, what we would consider an OCIO provider in the space. I really was attracted to the story that you guys tell and how you're really collaborative with advisors. So talk to me a little bit about how, when you think about an advisor that outsources, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. So I think everything starts with the relationship, and not I'll get back to your specific question, but I think if every we always say like you spell love Time, and when you've got a client and they want to feel like you care, their situation, that requires time. And so I think the most valuable use of an advisor's time is building into relationships. Like some advisors may argue that they're the best investment manager in the world, or they're the best, and that's great. We usually see those as limitations on to growth and to scale of their business. So we want to free up their hands as much as possible to really dig into the relationship. And I think, and so obviously, LibertyFi and your business and your team and the combination helps with a lot of the operational piece. On the investment side, outsourcing to like free up time is one thing, but I do think there needs to be real consistent communication that is done in a powerful way that is digestible. And so, we live in a very Vanguard, BlackRock world, and most third party providers, if there is differentiation from what you typically see, that differentiation, it might be cool to talk about, but it can get you in trouble. And I think what's different with what we're doing is it is differentiated from a process standpoint and how we view portfolio construction. But I think kind of the worst case scenario is highly digestible, and along the ride, we can really help an advisor consistently communicate. We always say we want consistency in and of messaging. And I do think we partner with an advisor to provide that in a way that's not like, hey, here's a 30-page document your client's going to read 2 words of. We want to say, we always say if you send something and you have to scroll on your phone to read it, it's probably not going to get read. So how can we condense as much as possible? So I do think the investment piece being outsourced is fruitful in terms of freeing up time, but I think there needs to be differentiation, and there needs to be communication around that.
Yeah, and working with you guys now, with two mutual clients, that was what we were really initially impressed by, was the communication of the team around the story and the resources around what you do. So the deliverables, feel advisors are always asking us whenever there's changes in their portfolio. Advisors don't want a client to call with a question and then feel like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And so the communication that you guys put out around the blog, around changes to the portfolio, that again, as you said, is really digestible. So for advisors out there, I highly encourage you to take a look at that. But the other thing you mentioned on the investment piece is, talk to me about another component that whenever I think about Aptus and what you're doing in the space and why I'm really excited, is the story is different. It's not a very passive, take what the market gives you and, you want to keep investors invested. Yes, of course. But I feel what you all are doing in the space is extremely powerful. So talk a little bit about what that story is from the investment eyes that you guys are, when you are constructing a portfolio. What is the philosophy of Aptus?
Yeah. So I could go a couple different ways with that. Um, I could make it more complicated than it needs to be. Like, I guess to simplify things, like the thing that we're most concerned about for portfolio construction today is longevity risk. And I think portfolios today are more susceptible to longevity risk than they ever have been before. Why is that? Is because this whole industry, like the beta, cheap beta stuff, has really been birthed out of like stocks and bonds having a correlation to each other that's beneficial. So like, meaning when stocks are doing bad, bonds are typically helping you out. So you get this correlation benefit from bonds and you get this return profile from bonds that has been really attractive. Well, that was when rates were 15% to zero. And now we're in this world where you've got inflationary pressure that we do not think is going down like the Fed is telling us. And so it's disrupting this relationship we've all been dependent on. And so when you look like out at the financial services and wealth management landscape, all of these portfolios are some version of Alli's more aggressive. Let's own more stocks and less bonds. Um, JD is more conservative. Let's own more bonds and less stocks. And I just don't think that is the right mentality at this point. And so how we address that, like, our worry is longevity risk. How you solve for longevity risk is compounded returns. Like, I would rather say, and one thing I do want every advisor that listens to this to hear is, like, Alli, if I compound at 6% and you compound at 10%, and my argument is, but my 6% has a higher Sharpe ratio, I promise you very few clients are going to say, yeah, give me that 6 with a higher Sharpe. They're going to say, no, I want the 10% compounded return. And so, like, I think our approach, which I have one thing to say on that, but I think our approach lends itself to higher compounded returns, but the risk adjusted measure that really matters is, what is my return over, not my standard deviation, but over my max drawdown. Because we worry about longevity, which is defended against compounded returns. What most clients worry about is, hey, my $1,000,000 just turned into 700,000. And the tools that we use, we call volatility as an asset class. The tools that we use, we're innovating in the options space, the options based strategies. That's really what we do. Like, that's really where our expertise lives. And by deploying some of the strategies that we have and our views of portfolio construction, we actually defend against the thing that worries most clients, the big drawdown. But because we have something to defend against that, it frees us up to take more risk, more equity risk specifically. So our mantra is, we want to be better in the tails. When it's a right tail environment, we want to perform. When it's a left tail environment, we want to protect capital. We think you do that through volatility ownership. We think we're different in, you know, that we don't rely on bonds and duration to have a correlation benefit and a return profile. We think, you know, there's more of a chance that inflation and purchasing power is at risk than it has been. So
Makes sense. And everything that we've, again, the last 6 weeks in particular have brought me back to my early days in the industry of really focusing on the tails. And I know that's a big deal, the upside and the downside, and that advisor having a good story to tell their clients about this is what we expect to happen whenever markets are moving in these directions. And I think you all, from what we've seen and are seeing in real life, you're delivering on that story. So to us, that's really powerful for the advisor to think about and know this story that Aptus can bring to them, which is, again, why we're really excited for everyone to kind of hear what we're doing.
Yeah.
So obviously the investment piece, we can get even more weedy if we wanted to, but what I really want the advisors and our partners to know is Aptus, why Aptus? And so tell me, you being the founder of the company, what if someone hears Aptus for the first time and they want to know more, like, what do you think of whenever you think of Aptus?
Yeah, I think the investment approach is something that I would want people to be aware of, because I think it's different, but like that's probably secondary to, specifically for a financial advisor that partners with us, like just get to know our team. Like that's, to me, I think it's the most powerful thing that we have. I'm surrounded by some of the smartest people that I've ever been surrounded by, and some of them can hear me say that, which I don't want to say that too loud, but I do think that is what makes us who we are. When an advisor realizes the type of expertise they can tap into and the willingness to work, not say, hey, Alli, let me send you a quarterly chart book, but to say, hey, Alli, what are the 5 accounts or households that keep you up at night? How can we help with that? And that's a unique combination where you can get true experts in different areas. It's taken us 11 years to put the team together, so it's not something that happened overnight, but taking that expertise, and then there's just a willingness to work, and I which I'm proud of, and I think that I would put our team up against anybody else. So that's like, if anybody doesn't know who we are, I would love a chance to compete for your business. And I think when you meet our team, that I like our chances.
I would agree to that, and I would say that we fall into that category. So, and the last thing that I want people to know is, when you think about Aptus, yes, you're an investment company, you're an asset manager, but really you're a service company first, and that's kind of what attracted us to each other. Was we're two really service-oriented companies that support advisors so that they can do a better job for their clients at the end of the day. So, again, for anyone that's out there that doesn't know the Aptus story, you will continue to hear me talk about it because it's something I'm now really proud of as well. So again, we want everyone out there to know JD, know the team, know what Aptus can do for you. And we will continue to be spreading the word as we continue on this journey. So thanks, JD, for joining me today. I'm really excited about what the future holds for all of us, for the partners that we all work with, for the advisors, and most importantly for their end clients, because I think what we're doing is really unique in the space, and is really going to set up advisors that decide to partner with us to be really successful over the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. So thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks. And the last thing I wanted to say, Alli, to kind of your point, I do think advisors partnered with us are at a competitive advantage. So if you've got more questions for us, number one, if you've listened this far, thank you. But Alli, thanks for having me on here. But we're here, so if you want to talk with us, please reach out to Alli or hit us. We're happy to chat. But thank you, Alli.
Thank you.